Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Did everybody have a good week?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, we're in another chair. There's 6 of you. I keep thinking there's 5. Katie is the traffic coming from the north. I don't know if anybody.
Oh, I saw that.
Did any of you come from the north? There's like 4 exits.
Oh.
Like 75 had a major one, and then there was one on Three Oaks and one on. Anyway, so she is on her way. Let me just grab a chair so she can just scoot and join us. Oh, they're wondering. Oh, awesome. Actually, if you want to go up front, there's a bag with your name in front of it. Go ahead and grab it up front at the front desk. And then come have a seat. And we'll
Got a
start
bag with
there.
our name on it.
You'll see. Can't miss it.
Wait, what are we doing? Grabbing a bag with our name on it? Oh, cute.
Okay, and then you look hello here. So I talked about doing this and I'm finally getting to it, but product knowledge is next week. So I really want you to come next week with practicing with the products. Each of you has a different styler. Shampoos and conditioners, it's hard to, but Sarah customized, looked at your hair, tried to kind of decide what would be best for you. So those are customized to you. The other thing you can do is if your product doesn't work for you, swap them, or you could trade them each week so that you guys can try them at home. That's something else you could do. Also for me, anything that's open, if you want to take it, use it, and bring it back, I'm okay with that. You have to use the products to know how they work and how they feel, and I don't expect you to purchase all of our products. You know what I'm saying? But I do think they are unique and different, and we'll get into that next week. But just so that you have those and really work with them and that's part of your homework, is to come back next week and really discover as many products as you can when you come back for class next week. You have class next week, right?
Yeah.
It's like Easter Monday, but I don't even know, honestly, what does that mean? I don't even know. I thought Easter was on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then like, I know we have Good Friday, but.
Government gets that day off.
Oh, is that the, well, we don't work for the government, so we're gonna be here, ladies and gentlemen.
We don't work for the government.
I mean, thankfully, we don't, that's how I feel, but. If you have your books up, I'll sign them. Yeah. I'll sign your attendance.
Oh.
Also.
Is models the week after next week?
Can I?
You tell me. You have the calendar.
No. Oh.
No, next week is product knowledge, and then models is the 28th. How are we doing on models?
Do we do any haircut? I just have
You can do any haircut, but we are going to have practiced the one length and layers. So I'd like to see those, but you can do any haircut.
I think I have one. I think so, but I'm not exactly the most reliable person, so I'm not gonna.
That's so stressful.
Yeah, I got one. No,
Oh yes, you were here. Yeah, that was April
I don't
7th.
know, man. I got my old clothes.
So we'll see. This is easier for me. I know we didn't do this in color class.
Yeah.
I forgot mine first week, and then I was testing.
The 31st or the 7th?
The 7th I was testing.
So that was state board. And what happened
I forgot my book, my
the
paper.
24th? The first one?
Yeah, the very first day I forgot my
So I
paper.
didn't sign anybody's. I guess I didn't give these out the first day, huh?
Yeah, you did, but I think we just forgot to sign them.
No.
Oh.
Did I sign yours?
When? Pretty sure.
March 24th.
Yeah,
What is wrong with me?
yeah. She didn't have her binder. She brought
But it was the day I gave them out.
Yeah. So then why did
That's
No,
not-
no, you gave them out when we came to
You gave
bring
them
a model.
The first day.
The first day we brought a model.
Remember
Yeah.
you fixed them.
I don't know. I signed it. You were here. I don't know. That's just really weird
always
in my
here.
mind.
Okay, I remember.
That's really weird in my mind. What the heck happened? That I didn't sign these two, but I signed those. Andy wasn't here, so that makes sense because he didn't need an intro.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I looked at yours and I'm like, oh, that's right. And then I'm like, wait a minute, why aren't theirs? You gotta hold me accountable. Okay, so you have your products. How was your homework? What discoveries doing the one length haircut did you have? How many did you complete? Tell me about your week of hair.
I tried about 4 times. 'Cause
Okay.
I was low-key struggling. But I feel like it's just her head because from right here she kind of has like volume going this way.
Oh,
And every time I would bring her down, it's like,
It's longer.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that because that's a haircuts. Do you have them that you drew out? How did you do this week compared to last week? Well, you two didn't share, so how did everybody else do from this week to last week?
it was a little easier to, I guess, envision my section.
And what about your terminology? Were you using elevation properly versus overdirection?
Yeah.
Okay, because last time you were
No,
saying like
the
lifting when you wanted to move and
Yeah.
move when you wanted to lift. So
Definitely, I understood that now.
okay, awesome. How about for you?
Drawing it out was like really confusing, so I just wrote it literally like word for word, like kind of
So you have a paragraph of words for me.
it's literally like step by step.
Okay. How about for you this week versus last week?
I think it did pretty good.
Easier? Did you do different haircuts?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good.
And I have pictures. So I'm like, I was trying to do this. I don't know what it matched to my
If it
plan.
looks like that.
Okay, and how about for you?
Yeah, it was pretty much just
You diagrammed in school. That's
not
cool.
often, but.
No, but you understood it, you learned it, so you have a different understanding of diagramming. Palm Mitchell's like the only one that really lived by that.
We did hair diagrams.
Did you?
for rollers.
But for rollers.
They had to do diagrams for foiling, they had to do diagrams for
Wow.
cutting, they had to do, yeah. So I know, and it used to be, I don't think they follow through as much as it used to, but it used to be like intense, like ruler, perfect spacing, yes. Each color means something, yeah, it used to be really intense.
Like our
Not
first,
that
we
intense.
didn't even really learn the blunt cut. Our first haircut was a layered haircut. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a spacer.
Yeah, they jump right in. They jump right in.
Yeah.
It was so complicated too. I remember being like, what the hell? It had the long layered side part, like kind of like your hair. That was the first haircut we learned. Bangs, point cut, blunt cut, yellow elevation, all of it in one
Well, bangs
haircut.
and layers are
Disconnect.
2 different haircuts.
There was a disconnect involved. It was like, throw us to the wolves.
Yeah. Okay, well, the blunt haircut is hard to begin with.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at precision. And when they push it like this, it tells you that you screwed up.
She said anybody can do the blunt. That's why we don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just like manicures.
Okay, well, anyone cannot. I've seen people do it. And it's, I've done it to myself, and it's never good when you do it to yourself, so. Anyway, yeah. So, I would like to look at these. I'm going to look at these with you individually so I can have an understanding of where you guys are with your drawings and your plan. Here's the goal of these. This is like a formula for color. If you can have an understanding and a plan for a picture, then you can go to any stylist that you feel comfortable with when you have a guest in the back room and say, this is what she wants, this is what I'm gonna do, am I good? And they don't have to come out and hold the hair and cut the hair and show you, because that is the goal of being on the floor, is that you can complete the service start to finish without, you know, somebody coming over and showing you. So that is what this is about, and each of you has a different level of understanding. So I want to really see where you are and keep tweaking that, because we have like, what, 6 more weeks of this, and this is your formula. So if you know how to create it, even if it's not spot on to the picture, if it is pleasing and a good end result and it's going to be really close, that's where we need to be as a newer stylist, because if they're saying I want layers and you don't even know where to begin, that's a different problem altogether. So hold on to those tight, because as you're working today, I'm going to come around and work with you on those. We're going to diagram layers together. So I want to talk about the keys to layers. When we're layering hair, what are we doing? Removing weight, adding weight, building weight, maintaining. What are we doing? Removing weight. So people often say, for layers, I want layers so I can have volume. Where would the volume come from the layer?
On the top, maybe?
Why?
Because it's shorter. And
Because it's shorter. So we are creating height here. What does the layer do to the width of the haircut? Here. Not here, because we lifted.
It's like takes it down.
It decreases it. So if they don't have a lot of hair, and we layer it, what happens to it? It gets thinner. So layers remove weight and make thin hair thinner. And that is a very big misconception for the common person about hair. I want volume, so you layer. Oh, okay, cool. Well, what about all this? Especially if they have someone who's stringy. You know, there's a certain length that we hit that we get stringy. I don't know. I cut my hair recently. I was like holding on to it, and it was like it was long, but there was like, it was stringy. And it was like my hair just, that's the length it can be. At its healthiest point, my hair on its own will never be to the middle of my back. It's just gonna be strings. That's what we need to educate our guests on, is showing them visually where it should be. But once we put that line in, if then we layer, we make that line thinner. So look how heavy your one lengths are. If they like that fullness, then we can't layer them because we're removing weight. If they like volume, you could go in and simply do a texturizing technique right on the top of their head, bridle up, and you could lift the hair and pinpoint little fine hairs with the tips of your scissors and point cut, but not holes. Those little hairs go in and they lift the heavy, longer hair and create volume without a ton of loss of weight. Does that make sense? So that's what you would suggest for someone with thin hair. Layers are not for everyone. Okay? So we're removing weight. I want you to really understand what that means in visually looking at it. So if we're removing weight, what section are we going to use? We have vertical, horizontal, diagonal.
Vertical.
Vertical. Because vertical removes weight, correct? So that's going to be our sections. Is it the only way? No. But it's the way we're going to do it because we're going to follow the rules. So we're using vertical sections. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, ma'am?
Wonderful. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So the next thing we're going to do is lift the hair. So what elevation creates layers? 90 degrees and up. So what does that mean? Because we're talking in numbers and I feel like
So, like you bring it straight out.
90 is straight out, but straight out from what? From where it lives. So let's talk about what that means. Because a lot of people go, I cut it at 90. 90 from where?
Like this part of the 90 would be different from here.
This is 90 here and this is 90 here. And when you do a true 90 and you're following the head shape, what happens? What does the end result look like? Because you have had to do a 90-degree haircut in school.
Very layered.
Very layered. Shaggy. It's more of a shag. It comes out kind of mullety because this is shorter and this is longer as far as status, right? So it's like a shaggy mullet. So then you have other numbers that get thrown around, 180. I don't care what number you use. What I care about is that whatever you do is consistent in every single section and left matches right. And that you understand what happens when you vary the elevation. So, if I bring all of this up and I cut it at 180, yes? This is technically 90, isn't it? So the number for me, I don't want you to get lost in that. What I want you to think about is if I bring it all the way up, the higher I lift, the heavier the hair. The closer I get to 90, the more shaggy it's going to be. Does that make sense? Long layers is not defined by elevation, it's defined by how much you cut off compared to the length. Does that make sense? Like this hair is this length. So if I cut, that's how much layering I'm gonna have. I mean, then I need to figure out how to connect, right? But the length of the top is what determines how short I'm taking those layers. Once you cut this top, you do need to know how to connect it, or you are in some trouble. So, so those are just some things that you have to think about. We're gonna start with 180. Everything's gonna come straight up. It's very basic. It's gonna leave the bottom layered, and it's gonna leave a little bit of a weight line because we brought everything up to the same point. If that's the only layer you know how to do, then you have to take that weight line out because nobody wants it in the current style of today. So then you have to pull that weight line where you find it and point cut that off. But that's a way to layer. Another way to layer is to kind of come here, which some people call 245, which I don't think that's accurate, if I'm being honest. But what you would do is cut kind of to the corner of your rib. That's whatever you do has to be consistent. So if you bring this section and you cut it here, but then you bring this section and you cut it here, you're not even. Does that make sense? So what you could do for more layering than a 180 is bringing it out here and cutting. Do you see the difference?
You level it with the floor though, you don't level it with the angle of the head, your finger.
Depending on the length I'm trying to keep, yes.
Oh, okay. And that's when you like, yeah, so that's like.
Yeah, finger. So not only do you have elevation, you have finger angle that creates different things. What if I had really, really long hair and you wanted shorter layers? I could bring it up and then adjust my finger angle so that this hair has to come up and over. Does that make sense what I'm saying? What I want to show you is a basic layer sectioning that you can use no matter what. You have to understand elevation and over direction, but that the sectioning can be consistent. Where are layers shortest? In the top. So where are we going to start? In the top. Before cutting layers, you have to cut a perimeter. It's a stopping point. It's not like a one length because these hairs are never going to come down here once we layer them. It's more about cutting a baseline bottom so we know I can't cut this off because if I cut this point off, I have cut a hole in that perimeter. Does that make sense? So you can cut it in your comb, in your fingers. If they're already layered, you could do it in 1 or 2 sections, following all the rules of a blunt cut, whether you want a U, whether you want it square, but it's done in like 1 or 2 sections because the layers up top aren't even going to matter in that perimeter cut. So if you spend 20 minutes doing a perimeter cut, trying to get precise, like a blunt cut, and then you go and you layer the whole top, you wasted time. Does that make sense? I don't want you to forget the perimeters apart, but I also don't want you to shorten a mannequin that's not going to grow out. So step 1 is a perimeter haircut. Yes? We all understand that? Okay. So once we're in the layers, and we're going to talk about over direction, but in a minute. So I'm just writing this here. Don't let me forget to talk about this. Okay. So the top of our head hairline, ears, nose, yes? The top of our head is going to have a section the width of a comb from the frontal to the apex. And that's where we're going to set the length of our layers. That's the shortest point, that's what we're cutting. It doesn't come all the way back to the crown. It stops up here. So if you notice, I visually left a gap. But.
So just like a small little section.
So it's going to be,
Okay.
I wouldn't say small.
Okay.
It's going to stop, where the front meets the back.
Gotcha.
Like a blow dry.
Like where it meets like right.
Almost. Yeah.
So it goes down.
It's like this.
Okay.
Like a skinny blow dry.
But it's like that section is going to be the width of a comb. So I wouldn't say like a blow dry at all, in the sense of like much smaller. Yeah. Maybe from front to back, but not necessarily width. So this, you're envisioning like a comb's width. And from there, we're using vertical sections. So it's literally like this, like a basketball. Now, my drawings are not on point, but you get the idea. Yeah. A comb's width section all the way around. But you're working on a round object, so when you look at a basketball, think of the black lines on a basketball. On the ends, they get skinnier, right? And in the center, they're wider. So if you've heard radial parting, that's what that is. But does that make sense? Because the widest part of the head right here, those sections are going to be wider than the skinnier parts of the head, or the narrower parts of the head. You with me?
Yeah.
All right, so the side of the head looks kind of like this. And this top, they all kind of, this isn't like the best visual that I gave you here, but the top is skinnier and the edge is wider as you come around that crown. Like a pinwheel. Does that make sense? And this is your guide for the whole haircut. It's traveling, but your shortest point is at the top and your longest point is the length, and you have to make sure that those are connecting or not going to be cut off, otherwise you cut a hole. So now, I said we're not going to talk about overdirection right now, but I'm going to now. So I want you to think about layers. Some layers are shorter in the front, longer in the back. Sometimes it's shorter in the back, longer in the front, and sometimes they're balanced. What you do with the very first top section can help you guide that process. So for example, if I take and imagine this is the top of the head and I have this section. If I take this section and I cut it like this, what am I going for when it falls? Well, lots of layers, but we're doing a 180.
It looks shorter in the back, longer in the front.
Based on my drawing, but look at what I'm doing up there.
So you got it.
I'm creating balance. So don't look at my awful head shape. Because yes, this line is shorter than this line, but I'm cutting a straight line. I'm using backward over direction here, forward over direction here, because the head is round to create balance. Yes? And then I'm going to cut everything to that section. If I wanted the layers to be shorter in the front, I could simply do this. And this is its most simplest form, mind you. And then if I wanted them to be longer in the back, shorter in the back, longer in the front, then I could just do this, yes? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Okay. When you layer an inverted bob, the hair's already shorter in the back. So if you're going to put layers on top of it, this is the way to go. Does that make sense? When you're doing a wolf cut or a face frame, that's the way to go. If you're not sure, live in the world of balance. Does that make sense? And then from there, that's gonna be your guide for all of your verticals all the way around. The only other guide is your stopping point, your length. So I want you to dabble in all three worlds so that you know what they look like. So you kind of need three different lengths of doll heads. If you have an inverted bob, you could do this one on top of it.
Chop my inverted bob off.
Yeah,
Turn into a blunt bob.
that's okay. You could still do those layers on her. So I want you to look up a couple of pictures. I want you to find one with what you think is balanced layers, one with layers shorter in the back, and one with layers shorter in the front. And then I'm gonna do a balanced layer today and see where you get. We may do a different demo next week. Let's just see where timing takes us and where your skills go today. What are we doing today? So we did blonde a couple weeks ago, now we're putting in some
I'm just touching the creases.
Yeah,
Just to
fun.
make it brown.
I'm just a model. I don't care what she does.
I like it. It's good practice. Yes.
So when we have our models come in,
Yes.
is there like a model price that they pay?
Haircuts are free,
Okay.
especially at this stage of the game where I'm going to be asking you lots of questions. Do you know what you're doing? You're going to be asking me questions if you run into a problem. So they're free. When you start doing models and there are no questions asked, you do it, then you charge bronze pricing, which is bronze level pricing is up there. I'll show you it. If you are not licensed, it's free. Everything and all things are free. The only charge is product. So color, there's a charge for every color service. It's $30 just to cover them.
Well, it's not free for me. What do you mean, have my license?
It still can be if you're learning and practicing.
I mean, it's, at that point, it's like, I'm not charging you because I don't feel comfortable charging you.
Correct.
Okay.
But once like you do your models for layers and you've done your dolls and you're good to go, you can start charging.
Okay.
The sooner you start charging, the more you create value for yourself and demand.
Yeah.
The goal is that you're creating a demand and paying guests.
Yeah. When can I start with the flow dry? Is that kind of like a discretion if everybody feels comfortable?
And just keep blow drying anybody that offers.
Yeah.
So that everyone can see your skill level in the salon.
Yeah.
And then they can give you their 2 cents. You know what I mean? They gotta give you their 2 cents so they feel good about it.
Yeah.
Well, so am I kidding. I give you my 2 cents.
Yeah.
How did we do? Did we find 3 different?
Yes.
Alright. See what you got.
So this
Even.
I have to tell. This is like the thing. I don't know if it's like graduation.
It is a graduation, but there are shorter pieces on top, so you could graduate and then layer. Yep. It's been good.
This is next time.
Yep. So blow dry the way
I'm
I do
gonna
it.
put one base back. I don't know if it's the way it's
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So that's really hard to tell. So I would have to ask deeper questions from a guest.
Yeah.
No,
they won't. It's like, what do you think? 3?
I'm like, I found this one.
And what do you think
This
that
one's like a little bit longer.
longer where?
In the back than like
Maybe like a balance.
Yes. Yes.
just visible back.
So I feel
What
like
are the
is that or much shorter here. Whoops. Oh man, longer there. You see what I see? So that would be like if she wants extra volume here and not so much around that waist, I would be shorter for that one. Shorter for front. Yeah.
I didn't find out.
You got it.
Longer in the back. Wait.
Yeah.
It might be
just the way it's styled.
I went there first.
But the layer looks like it's longer.
The short is hard.
Much layering in the back. So it's just like
I know. So there's an
there's longer everywhere. I like here.
Bruh, my sister just now she graduates.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to go to
like you and a face
wait,
cream.
wait,
You
wait,
wouldn't
wait.
mind her telling me.
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna just go to graduation.
All right, what do you got?
I have.
Is your phone broken or is that your screen? Would you like to be able to think your phone's broken?
My screen.
That's so funny.
This is the one that's like shorter in the back.
No, but that's layers. I mean, this is graduation and this is undercut, but that's short in the back, long in the front layers. Yep.
Oh yeah.
You think it's what?
I just
Like the shorter in the front and the long thing goes into long in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know. Does my hair look okay for you? Like
It
when it's
does-
like
it does look
blown out.
faded.
Yeah.
Once it
Okay, what do you got?
So we kind of collaborated together. We were thinking this is balance.
With a U bias.
Yeah, okay, that's why we're saying
I kind of have to curl
Here,
it. I have
thing is more like a
two different eyelashes. You're gonna have
So it's longer in the back?
very
Or longer in the front,
very
shorter in the back? If you bring it back, it's going to be shorter in the
Oh
back.
no, so these are both front.
They said this
See where it's shorter? So those are both.
posted and I guess they're
Oh yeah, well,
So I guess we need to define that a little bit.
that's the one we're trying to.
Yeah, that
to
would
hold it back.
Triangular layers.
So is that what it is? That's the thing?
you have to.
Triangular layers.
Well, I'm gonna ask them because I'm using it on Friday now. Hopefully.
Yeah, so that would be layers on top.
Yeah, I see this like little hourglass.
And this is the one you're seeing.
Does anyone go on Thursdays? Okay.
See what shorter? That would be a severe version.
Because Madison got kicked out.
Okay, so I'm going to take a pause on cutting layers because I want to first touch on face framing, which is a form of layering, but it's just the very front. And sometimes, I guess it's all one length hair and they want to try something new, but they're not quite ready for layers. So that would be considered a face frame. Okay, so what would that look like? You can slice it, you can point cut it, or slice or slide cut. If you're just trying to create a little, you can do it through elevation. So I'm gonna do this, you're gonna do it on yours, and then we'll do the full layer. You're focused on just this area by the ear. So all you're gonna take out is the bangs and the front section to the tip of the ear. It's not quite the front half of the head, because the front half of the head goes to the apex, yes? So this is in the event you want all one length and just some face framing around the front. If you start doing princess haircuts, there's very few little girls with layers. Most of them have a one length, and then mom's like, can you do something around the front? This will be in your back pocket, you're gonna need it, okay? So, you're going to decide where on the face you want that length to be. Do you want to start at the jawbone? Do you want to start it at the cheekbone? Where is it going? And you're going to take off the part of the hair. Not the center, where they part. If I cut it to the center, the shortest point, and then she moves her part over, it's going to do a weird peak. So you're going to cut it over where they're parting their hair. For her today, since I'm layering, I'm just going to go right off the center. So I'm going to take a small section from the center.
Are you taking this triangle section or?
I'm just taking this front section. More of a, just like the tip of the nose. And I'm going to gather it in. Because when I gather it, I'm over directing it into the center, which means it'll be slightly longer on either side. Yes? If this gets too wide, you're creating a bang. You're going to create some flat spots. So you don't really want this too wide. And you're going to cut this. Now, if you want softness, you're going to point cut. So you're going to cut this to the length that you choose. When you're cutting bangs, mind your way.
Well, we're just describing it to each other now. Right? She's point cutting.
Okay, if you're cutting bangs or softness around the face, you're generally going to point cut unless you're looking for like a blunt line. Okay? Once you cut that, you have your starting point for both sides. Your ending point is this.
Tall curly hair.
This length right here at the ear. So now you have to decide, where do I lift this to make a straight line to make these tie together? Yes? So, I'm using forward movement because where is it longer? In the back. So I'm going to stand in the front. I'm going to do both sides so you can watch. Do you see the length right there? You see? My guy. I had 2 points, yep. The one that I don't want to cut shorter than is this. The length.
I was writing, right when you said it, I was writing.
So what you want to do is bring this into your hands, find where they meet, and cut it off. You see it?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to just point cut that off. Pretty basic. Pretty easy. If they want it more severe, and let's say she wanted to cut this to here. Just pretend. Somebody come hold this hair right here. And you may get up while I'm demoing to see one. So hold that point right there. That's my point that I'm cutting to. Because visually you can't see it. Do you see how I would bring this over? Now that hair fell out, and I would cut this much more off to match that length.
Oh, so how much you cut off just depends on each over direction.
Either over direction this way or this way. I can also go like this. Can you lift that up? And go back down where it was. Like move your fingers here. That's right there. So I also can do this.
And then I have another friend that I met her from, and she's got a daughter, and they just moved here.
You see how those connect?
Actually, I'll be here with her sometime and introduce you to. Because she's
Yes, no, maybe so. Okay.
So it gives a different look to the part.
Different shapes. So on this side I cut this way. So on this side I'm cutting this way. So my body position slightly changes, but I still have to be visually see these 2 points. You see them?
I had a friend visiting who knew this, and her name is Moni Monica, the quick Moni. And she has a friend that was friends with this other lady, Monica, who moved from Texas. And so
Yes.
my friend goes, oh, you need to meet her.
Basic face. What?
So you ate that. She was here, we went to Hope City.
I hear one more skibbity toilet. I'm like,
What is that?
that's it.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, well,
Lizelle usually keeps me informed.
it's
about
right.
things. I don't know.
I have a 6-year-old who learns everything.
Oh.
And my teenager has to interpret for me what the heck he's saying from school. I'm like, what is that? Don't say that.
I said,
So I'd like you to do this first before we layer, because mastering this is going to be, some people just want face framing. So I want you to just wet down, section this, and do just a face framer on your one link before we cut it into layers. Yes? Nothing crazy. Don't make it super dramatic because we want to be able to cut the layers in it. But just master that idea. Yes? Okay, cool. Go. And then so my goal was that you didn't cut any holes and that you connected point A to point B. But then look at the angle that was cut here. Look at the angle that was cut here. They're not wrong, they're just not the same. So whatever you decide to do to one side, you have to do the other, because you see.
And actually, that's really good that you like understand that at your age, because.
Do you see the difference in my fingers? This one's pointed up this way, this one's pointed this way. They both were cut exactly the way I described, but your finger angle matters, you know, because it can move. Right? So they have to be, and the key is that you're putting this way and this way.
Exactly.
So one of the things you can do as a newer stylist is decide where your fingers are pointing. Are they going straight up? Are they going over? Are they going? And then when you come over here, your knuckles, because it's opposite, have to point in that direction. A safe bet is if you bring this straight forward. And you just follow the hairline. Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I bring it straight out from here and I cut it. Then I come here and look at how my fingers are mirroring the section angle. Does that make sense? So that way you know when I come over here, it's going to be the same. Yes? Just ways to create consistency, because even though you match point A to point B, you can match them in different ways. So as you're done, take a peek and see if you, and you're also going from here to here. So having reference points is going to be helpful. Yes? So I would do what I just did. Once you, as you're sectioning, I want you to clip. Is it clear what section I'm cutting right now?
Yes.
When you step away because somebody asks you to do something, or your guest starts talking or whatever and you're distracted, you need to be able to look back and say, that's the section I'm cutting. If you can't see that, then you're going to put yourself in
I tell
trouble.
people and I'm like, oh yeah, I went to her graduation, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet.
So all of that is going to fall out, right? Because I'm doing long layers. Spy my guide. Cut.
You can see it.
Oh my goodness.
Next section. Now you're going to notice, look at how my top is skinny
I say it's still early.
and it's heavier in the middle. You see that?
Sounds like it's going good, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes? Okay. I'm only taking a portion of in front. I'm not taking the whole thing. Now this is going to have a lot fall out. Look how short these are. They're not coming up.
Well, it's more like how they connection.
Yes?
Because I had other students before Eliza, but.
pulling it straight up.
Yep. Well, I'm not coming straight up because of the length of mine. So if you have longer, I'm on an angle because that's what is meeting. If you're longer, then it should come up like this. And each thing creates a little different thing. It's about understanding what's different. I would encourage you, now that we're doing this haircut, there's some like YouTubes or Instagrams where they take and you can see the lines go up and down. They show how they fall, and it's just strings.
Yeah.
The other thing, if you have a bald doll head, tack the hair in with yarn. Cut it and let it fall, and you can truly see what that section falls like when you cut it. Don't use your hair cutting scissors. You know, yarn scissors or something. But that will help you visually see when I bring it here, this happens. If you're struggling to visualize it with just this. So now I'm going to take a portion of this section. Now, what I want to point out when you get to this back, I'm still vertical. Sometimes people go like this. No, like this. So if you start going like this, that line's no longer vertical. You with me? And I mean, in this length of hair, I wouldn't even bother combing this. But you gotta know that it doesn't meet. Don't just go, okay, drop that out and cut this. No, you need to work it until you know that hair does not meet this section. What else do you notice about my lower body? Where did I start? Where was I standing when I started this side? I was behind it, right? And as I've come around, I've pivoted to be able to look at the section when it's up in the air. So you should be looking at it.
But it wasn't this chain, I don't think it was this chain, it was, remember I told you I went to this,
I should be visually able to see where you are because your sections are neat and clean.
Oh, no, it was, but it was somewhere near.
Yes?
Yeah.
You see how it wasn't clear to me? So I just recombed until it's really clear. So this is what I want you to see.
Actually, it's funny because the GPS.
See how my guide gets wonky? It's because I didn't bring it to the correct place. If you don't bring it to the same space, where's the guide? It's gone because that's not where you're supposed to cut it. If there is not a clear line, clean line, you see the difference? Then you should not cut. Now, I talked about cross-checking. I cut these this way. I'm going to take a cross section and check it. When you do that, the elevation has to be the same. So I'm going to take all of these.
Yeah, I did go there.
I'm going to comb this up to the same elevation that it was cut. You see the increase and then it balances out in the back? Yes? Yes? Okay.
So that's what it should look like.
If I check it here, that's not where I cut it. Do you see how it looks like I don't know what I'm doing? So it's imperative, a cross check is multiple sections held at the same over direction and same elevation to read properly. There is a little inconsistency in here. Do you see that? If I say this is okay, then you should say this is okay because I've been cutting hair for 20 something years. If you try to go in and tweak all those little pieces, you'll kill yourself. If it's a point and it's clearly long, then you pick it up and you find it. And you go back to the vertical section and fix it. You then come to the other side and do the same exact thing. Do you need to see this side? Yes, no, maybe so. Are you okay with, yes?
So when I was in school, we were taught when you layer, same vertical sectioning, but you're pulling out and then you don't let go of that section, pull it out this way and then pull it out.
That's following the head shape layers.
So is that considered wrong or is that just not what we're doing?
It's
for
a
this
different
haircut?
elevation. So we're bringing everything up. That's following the head shape, so it's going to create more layers. It's not wrong. It's just you're doing more of a 90 at each area, so you're going to have a lot more layering.
So when a client says, I want lots of layers and I want lots of weight removed, that's what you would go with, not that type.
The higher you lift, the less you remove. The closer to 90, the more you remove.
But you never know.
But shorter and lighter are different. I could still take this much shorter and do the same. Do you know what I mean? So if it's lighter they want, it's understanding that difference. So no, that's not wrong.
But shorter layers with lots of layers.
Would be a different elevation. Are you ready? Okay, so you're doing one side and then the other. Have at it. Okay, friends. Did you learn something in the last 3-4 hours? Okay, I want you to take a minute, find a piece of paper, and write down whatever is in your brain about this haircut that you discovered, struggled with, learned, whatever. But write it down. You can put it in your notes. I don't think I have to.
I wouldn't.
Are we turning it into you or are we just writing
You
it?
could, you're an adult. I would assume that if you were penciling, it was like purposeful.
Do we turn this into you or do we?
No, this is for you. So whenever you have a learning like session of anything, it's proven that if you write down what you learned right after you do it, just have like a dumping of your, yeah, it just stays.
So just write down what we learned today?
Yep. Is that how you do it to your client?
A bunch of drug addicts, daughter over here. Yeah, that makes sense. You can't afford that much
No. Just like that.
Have we discussed the bags of products yet? Or did you get one? Yes. I just don't know what it's for.
It's for you.
Oh.
It's for you to take home and to use on your hair. Sarah tried to call. What'd she give you?
Keratin conditioner, moisturizer,
I was writing that about fucking around.
and straightening.
Oh, make her breathe in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she tried to customize for you. And we want you to be prepared to come back and talk about the product. And then I also suggested that you guys could change the products in between each other and see
Pure formula and a whole all
I mean, it might not be realistic. Maybe we can use it like tend to be changed with, like if you were to Elizabeth and you gave her industry, you'd do it. And I think she has volumizing. Usually I don't use that. When I'm curling, no. When I'm straight, yes, because it's like flat. That makes sense.
So that's what
I know, that's what I got.
I was talking to I need to order my hand. I about the other one. And then I used a lot of gel.
Do you have your binder? Oh, because you want your.
Yeah, so I've been trying not to.
Let's put my pen away.
So I have my pen.
Don't be afraid to cut. Keep an eye on your
body position. Yes. And your fingers.
Don't lose your guide.
Oh, that's who the guide thing. Like if you don't see your guide, it's because that's not where you cook.
Yeah.
After this, you do color.
After all of this?
Yes. And then it's so
And
many.
all of you will be in there except for Andy, because Andy's already done color. So it'll be the same group.
Oh.
Sue's asking after these we do color.
Yeah, my favorite.
So yes, and I'll have the calendar. Okay, friends.
I'll do your color for you. You can my color. Together we combine.
How'd you feel about today?
Great. Good.
Good. You learned a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Katie asked a question, and I want to make sure everybody heard it. Can I use this blow dry for my blow dry? The answer is yes. It's a blow dry. So it's working on, you learned how to angle your brush. We talked about doing, the round brush differently. You learned the bent brush. Like, there's things that you're learning on these blow dries, so absolutely. Try to use different products on the dolls because they have the same hair texture, so just use different. stuff to see. Did I use too much? Is it too sticky? Those things you want to happen. We do get new products kind of regularly, and I trial them, and you do get yourself in a situation where you chose the wrong product for the wrong person, but you didn't know, and you have to get yourself out of that. So it's okay to discover, I used too much. I gotta rinse that. I gotta redo this. I had that happen a couple of times. It's how you handle it when that happens. So these are great discoveries to happen. I did not get a chance to look at your plans. So we'll look at those next week. Is that okay? And then don't plan anymore. Focus on the layers.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, let's focus on the layers, and then next week we'll look at your plans. And I'm gonna hold myself accountable to do that. Because last week we talked about them. We haven't really dove into that. This week, how do you feel about the layers shorter in the front, longer in the back? You feel like you can recreate those easily? Practice? They make sense.
And I was gonna say, yeah, it does make
They make
sense.
sense. So, do you think that you could also create them balanced where it's even across the top instead of bringing it forward and shorter in the front? I think you should try that. The sectioning is the same. Because when you come back, I'd like to do the backward movement, and I'd like to change the elevation to, following the shape of the head or putting more layers in there. Let me do it all because it's a perfect example. This type of layering, when we bring it straight up, do you see how heavy the bottom is? She didn't do anything wrong. This is what it looks like at this length. It's not exactly pleasing at this length, right? But look how heavy the bottom is. If someone has thin hair and they want layers, holding it straight up is going to allow the bottom to be the heaviest it can be. Does that make sense? And it's really visual here because there's like no layers down there and it looks kind of moldy at the bottom or boxy. You wouldn't want to do this on this length. Does that make sense? So, but just something to kind of visually see when that high elevation leaves the bottom heavy. That makes sense? Okay. I feel like there was one other thing. Sarah has, that's okay. Do you guys see the posts with the numbers that Sarah posts every week? Yeah. It's like a chart and it's got green highlighted spaces.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Nice work.
Thank you.
Good to see you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So these numbers are what is controlled by the 6 steps. If you're doing the 6 steps, these numbers will go higher. We can get in detail, not today, about what those numbers represent and how you create them. But you are just as much responsible for your stylist numbers as the stylist is. So remember we talked about pulling product and talking about shampoo with that thing over there. Clearly my brain has said enough of this for today. So that directly affects the stylist retail per guest. And that is something that we're rated on and you will be rated on as a stylist. So anyway, so that chart, I want you to start familiarizing yourself with what it is, what it looks like, and we'll break down each number for you by week so it's not so much. But you will be held responsible for your numbers as a stylist. That's how you bonus, that's how you make money. And I don't care if you're paid hourly or commission, this is how you make more money in this industry. So it's important that you understand the numbers and what drives those numbers and how you can be in charge of them instead of them controlling you. So,
I'm just gonna ask you, like, who do you work with? You work with Mackenzie, right? So, Mackenzie, so the way that we have it, like, numbered is her retail. So Mackenzie was number 8, so she had 69 pre-book, $7 in retail, 1.5 in services per guest, and 11% take home. So guest percentage for take home. So she didn't hit any of her numbers. Who did you work with this week? or this
Two
past
months.
week?
I got 4 that I worked with.
Okay, who's that?
I did Krista, Jen, Nikki, and Brittany.
Okay, so Jen was actually number 1 with 75% pre-book, $22 retail, 1.9 service, and 35% take home. You said Krista was number 7, 45% pre-book, $11 retail, 1.9 service per guest, and 23 percentage for take home. And then who was else? Nikki,
Nikki and Brittany.
61 pre-book, $14 retail, and 1.8 services per guest. So she hit 2 out of 3. Who was next?
Brittany.
And Brittany. Brittany was number 34 with 63% pre-book, 0 retail, and 1.7 services.
Those are also Katie's numbers, because she did, I was
Yeah,
looking at
Katie.
her, she had the same
Okay,
stylist, because they're
So those-
sharing.
those were your numbers for the week. So like Jen said, your numbers or their numbers reflect your numbers, because we depend on you guys a lot for those numbers too. Andy, who did you work with this last week?
David, just David.
Just David? David was number 13 with 48% pre-book, $7 retail, and 1.4 services. Who'd you work with?
Lisa and Hannah.
Lisa was 100% pre-book, $6 retail, 1.2 services, and then Hannah was 57 pre-book, $9 retail, and 1.6 services. Virginia? Virginia was number 12 at 69 pre-book, $6 retail, and 1.4 services. So,
Can I see that? So across the top here, it tells you what it is, and the goal is in the parentheses. So that you can know how far or how close they're getting to their goal. And then I'm gonna go over what you can do to drive this number. It's habits. And if you do those habits, you create them really well, then those numbers will go up. Right now you will see a drop in pre-book because people are leaving. So the person who has mastered pre-book is Lisa. They book when they leave for next season. I cannot get that. I have been, and I've been on the struggle bus, but next month my pre-book number will drop because I can't get them, but I tell them you need to call early to get on my book because it is harder and harder to get on my booking season. But Lisa, listen to her. They know when they're coming in before they get to that front desk. So that habit of telling them, not asking them, telling them, and listen to how that's done, those are what drives those numbers. But as an industry, I don't think it's focused on enough. I think it's talked about. These are the numbers that but if you do more of this, you can make more of this. But that's how you increase your raise in this industry. The more money you're bringing in, the more people that see you, no matter what salon you work in. So it's overwhelming at first. So we'll take it in bite-sized pieces. But I still want to hear how you're working with pulling product, talking about shampoos and conditioners. We're doing product knowledge next week, so that needs to be a focus this week. Comfortably, awkwardly, I don't care. Ask questions of your senior stylist. Look at who's on the highest numbers and ask them. We all aren't great at everything, right? Time management for me, I'm running behind it every day. Even worse when my associate doesn't know how to keep me on time because I'm all over the place. So that's just me. So I need an associate who's going to be able to time manage me, but I don't need an associate to educate about stuff. Does that make sense? So look at who's doing the numbers and then listen to them. Cool? Who wants to be the best? One? Like reason. I think it's wonderful. I'm in competition with everyone always when it comes to this, but also myself. Like, if I don't meet a goal, I want to look back. What did I do? Was I having a bad day? To fix that. I was like, no, you want to strive to be the best you can, truly. And this is part of it.
because eventually your name's gonna be on this list too.
And it can be really defeating if you're always at the bottom. So it's like, what do I do to edge my way up? And it's really about, not about being at the top, it's about creeping up on that list. And when you're high on the list, it's like, man, I did that. It's a lot of fun. So, any questions for me for this week? So we are going to be reviewing numbers weekly so that it becomes a habit and you understand what they are, what they mean, and how you can be responsible for them to yourself. The chairs are from here, there, and there, so if you can make them go back, that would be great.
And I
Thank
do
you for
post
cleaning
these
them
on
up.
the announcements on ROP on Slack.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys need to look at anybody else's, you guys can do that.
So,
Every week I do this.
layered haircuts, 10 to 20, whatever you need, until you got it.